From prehistoric times to the early 20th century, civilizations ancient or modern, all have sought defensive measures. The construction of defensive city walls, to secret tunnels and passages, have defined ancient and medieval architecture, as the spaces could be closed by rolling heavy boulders across the entrances. So-called fairy chimneys allowed for the ventilation of the chambers, and the smoke from within would rise to the surface, many miles away from the cities. Some of these societies were lost long ago, while others are as recent as Cold War paranoia. Have a look at notable of these unforeseen cities that exist beneath the surface of the earth. Carved into pink, white, and red sandstone cliff faces in the southwestern region of Jordan, lies the lost city of Petra. Petra is an ancient architectural marvel, tucked away in the mountains, which archaeologists believe that the city was originally settled as a means to control the natural reservoirs that form beneath it, or possibly as a burial site. While some recognized Petra as a major trade site between Gaza and Syria, and then on into Rome, which allowed the city to prosper. The site has been inhabited since prehistory, but it reached its peak some 2,000 years ago, when the ancient Nabateans hand-chiseled the surrounding sandstone hillsides into a dazzling collection of tombs, banquet halls and temples. One of the most exquisite edifices is Al-Khazna, or the Treasury, which includes an ornamental facade that extends 130 feet up a rock face. Petra may have been home to 20,000 people at its height, but it was later abandoned sometime around the 7th century AD. The kingdom was annexed into Rome in 106 AD, some centuries before its collapse, and thus a clear influence of Roman architecture can be seen throughout Petra. It was unbelievably lost to Western world until the 1800s. Excavations at the site are still ongoing today, and it's believed that the vast majority of its ruins may still lurk underground. It is mentioned in accounts of Egyptian military campaigns, as well as in the biblical book of Exodus, as the country of the Horites, with the city itself referred to as Sela, or the cleft in the rock. The landscape hub of volcanic rock, in Turkey's Cappadocia region encompasses no less than 36 underground cities. Among those are Ozkanak, Derinkuyu, and Kaymakil are some of the most complete and most underground of ancient times. But perhaps none is as vast or as impressive as Derinkuyu. This huge complex dates to around the 8th century BC. And was most likely built to serve as a refuge during periods of war and invasion. Keeping this in mind, its 18-story interior was a self-contained metropolis that included ventilation shafts, wells, kitchens, schoolrooms, oil presses, bathhouse, winery and living space for some 20,000 people. When threatened by attack, each level of the city could be sealed off, behind a collection of monolithic stone doors. Historians believe that the Hittites or the Phrygians were among Derinkuyu's earliest builders, but it was later occupied and expanded by a host of other groups including Byzantine-era Christians, who left behind a collection of underground frescoes and chapels. Despite its long history, the city wasn't rediscovered until 1963, when a local man stumbled upon some its tunnels while renovating his home. The Italian hilltop town of Orvieto is known for its white wines and picturesque architecture, but its most mysterious wonders lie underground. Over 2,500 years ago, beginning with the ancient Etruscans, generations of locals burrowed their way deep into the volcanic rock bluff on which the city was originally built. The subterranean maze was first carved to build wells and cisterns, but over the centuries, it grew to include more than 1,200 interlocking tunnels, grottos, and galleries. Some chambers include the remnants of Etruscan-era sanctuaries and medieval olive presses, while others show signs of having been used as storage places for wine or roosts for pigeons, a common local delicacy. Orvieto's underground city was also frequently employed as a hiding place during times of strife. As recently as World War II, people were still using certain sections as bomb shelters. Located in northern France, The underground city of Nowers includes complex of 2 miles of tunnels and not less than 300 man-made rooms, all of them hidden some 100 feet beneath a forested plateau. The site began its life around the 3rd century AD as part of a Roman quarry, but it was later expanded into a subterranean village after locals began using it as a hiding place during the wars and invasions of the Middle Ages. At its peak, it had chapels, wells, stables and bakeries along with enough room for around 3,000 people. The Nowers Caves were later sealed off for decades before being reopened in the 19th century as a tourist attraction. They became a popular sightseeing spot during World War I, and modern visitors can still see more than 2,000 pieces of graffiti left behind by Allied soldiers, many of whom fought nearby at the Battle of the Somme. Nushabad of Isfahan province in Iran, can be seen as a museum in the scales of a city, hosting numerous relics from different periods of Iran's history. Around 1,500 years ago, residents of Nushabad carved a secret, underground city in which they sheltered whenever an overpowering enemy approached their territory. Its intricate network of corridors spread under the whole city, and even further, in 3 levels. The city came into existence in the Sassanid era and continued to be extended both horizontally and vertically during the Seljuk, Safavid and even Qajar eras but was discovered by chance in 2004. According to historians, the city must have saved many lives from the unimaginable brutality of the Mongol invaders in the 13th century, or centuries before that, from the Arab invaders. In the 12th century AD, a devout king ordered the construction of 11 eye-catching Christian churches in the Ethiopian village of Lalibela. This New Jerusalem is notable for having been fashioned from the top down. All of its churches were hewn from volcanic rock below the Earth's surface and then hollowed out, giving them the appearance of having grown directly out of the ground. The most iconic building is the cross-shaped Church of St. George, which was cut from a monolithic slice of stone inside a trench 100 feet deep. It was then connected to the rest of the complex via a network of underground passageways, hidden caves and catacombs. Legend has it that the construction of Lalibela took just 24 years, but many historians believe it was actually completed in phases over several centuries. The village is now considered a sacred site for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and its subterranean places of worship continue to draw as many as 100,000 pilgrims each year. Also known as the Underground Salt Cathedral, Poland's Wieliczka salt mine is a massive subterranean complex of rooms, passageways and statues located on the outskirts of Krakow. The site dates to the 1200s when miners first descended beneath the Earth's surface to find rock salt. The mine was steadily expanded over the years by the miners into 185 miles of impressive galleries, and about 3,000 chambers all encompassed in 9 floors. When they weren't digging for white gold, the workers also used the mine's salt crystal deposits to build a stunning collection of chapels, chandeliers, statues and 3D figures and objects, including a detailed replica of Da Vinci's The Last Supper. The Wieliczka mine stopped producing salt in 2007 after some 700 years in operation, but it remains a popular tourist attraction in Poland. It's also home to a health spa that touts the therapeutic properties of the mine's salt-rich microclimate. Did Portland operate an underground city where men were kidnapped to work on ships? Historians disagree on what happened in the 1800s. Some believe a thirsty logger might stop at a tavern and wake up aboard a ship with a one-way ticket to Asia. Others note the tunnels connected Portland's Chinatown former gambling and opium dens. The city's network of tunnels runs from Old Town aka Chinatown, hence the name Shanghaiing, into downtown Portland. Bar and hotel basements are also linked, as is the Willamette River docks. More than a century ago, many Chinese immigrants worked in steam laundries in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, living in underground tunnels to save money for the head tax required to obtain Canadian citizenship. Bootleggers populated the tunnels during the 1920s Prohibition era, moving alcohol between Canada and the U.S. Crime boss Al Capone orchestrated a North American business empire that collected $100 million a year, more than Henry Ford's company earned manufacturing automobiles. The tunnels are now a tourist attraction. Many other underground cities still exist, which we shall discuss some other day. Like Matmata, in Tunisia, Kobrapidi, in South Australia is almost entirely underground, was only founded in 1916. Beijing Underground City, which was made as shelter beneath their capital of China. Burlington, UK, a safe place in the event of a Cold War-era nuclear strike etc. Please let us know in comments which of the discussed underground city you like the most. Thank you for being with us.